Dear brothers, this seems a good a day as any to talk about my beautiful wife. Anybody that can put up with someone like me is a saint. She is kind, loving, compassionate, sees the best in most everyone, and is always by my side. My wife is as genuine as they come. What you see is what you get. No tricks, nothing fraudulent, no vanity. At our wedding, her best friend described her as literal sunshine. And there's no better way to describe her. She is the warmth that keeps me calm and patient. She's the rock that rises every morning by my side without failure. Her loveliness on the outside is undeniable, but the loveliness of her soul is unmatched. So, how does a schmuck like me end up with someone so elegant and classy as her? The answer is, I almost didn't. Prior to meeting my wife, I had been on all the dates. The dating apps, the blind date experiences, which were outlandish, or my friends trying to hook me up with people. Across the span of several years, I really only had a few good first dates that led to a second and maybe a third, and only a fraction of those were women I thought I might actually like. And just as I was allowing myself to consider something more serious with those very few ladies and feeling like my heart was kind of ready for the next step, a ghost appeared where there was once a woman of interest. No words, no text, no calls, no responses, just a void, as if they never existed. Some I never heard from again. Others, out of thin air, maybe months later, I would get a text from. It was like I was a little pawn in their game, and I hated it. I felt used, unworthy, expendable, and as much as I may not like admitting it, I was probably not the best version of myself at those times as well. There is probably something to the fact that I was not necessarily worthy of their affections. Now, there's still no denying that they chose the path of see no evil, hear no evil, and just disappeared without a conversation. Unfortunately, that's the state of dating in the world today. Fake, shallow conversations, and a belief that you can kind of flee at any given moment. And it seems like this isn't exactly, if it's not exactly what you pictured, you can just bounce. I would be a hypocrite not to admit that once upon a time, I was probably just as bad as those women who I allowed to harm me. I knew that pain more fervently in that time of my life than ever before. And I can remember a not so small amount of shame. But the only action I could take was to ensure that I didn't continue in that old line of thinking and make certain that I never let someone hurt me like that again. But that presented a bit of a conundrum. How can you allow yourself to be more vulnerable again when people have taken advantage of that or just disappeared at a moment's notice? That pain is real, and why would I open myself up to that again? The first part of that answer lies in the fact that I individually was not strong enough in my own self-image. I knew that I was damaged goods. I wasn't whole. I wasn't the best man I could be. And I kind of hid behind the fact that they hurt me versus the fact that I probably had some changes I needed to make. I faked it at times. The world may have thought differently from the outside looking in, but underneath it all, I was a scared little boy who didn't think he was good enough to be what these women needed. So I shrouded myself behind tough social media posts and philosophical quotes. And I know that those relationships, which never blossomed, likely did not, at least in part, because I wasn't good enough. I wasn't committed enough. I was still just a fraudulent young man that had to change. The second part of this is that I was allowing someone else's actions to impact my future. Why should these women stop me from finding someone beautiful and loving and that I can live with for the rest of time? I really think it was probably a little more self-pity and fear of rejection on my end than anything else. I was allowing myself to be controlled and guarded by what someone else had done to me. So I had to correct those two avenues. And as I was just beginning to get those pieces together, I decided to take one more date with this beautiful blonde-haired girl with this handsome golden retriever, my buddy Murphy, who's lying next to me as we speak. After our first date, I wrote this in my journal. I am excited to see her again, albeit I remain guarded from past experience. However, it is not her fault, and the prospect of finding someone truly special outweighs such thinking. I had to conquer my own fear and correct my own faults. And as I accepted that responsibility and worked on changing my ways, God brought the most wonderful human being into my life. Guys, we're meant to exist with one another. Adam needed a partner, so God gave him Eve. The world doesn't turn without one another. Children aren't born. Real love is nowhere to be found. There is simply nothing without us finding a good woman to love. True beauty is in finding that person who is as flawed as you are and watching each other grow, banishing and tackling those imperfections together. In one of my favorite books, it's a series, a young man is asking his sister-in-law, who is the Black Lady, she's married to the leader of their kingdom, about how you know what real love feels like. And she says the following: most people appear to shrink as you get closer. You get past their witty and charming exterior, and they do something to disappoint you. You love someone if they get larger as you get closer. Their imperfections, as they betray them one by one, only seem to add to them. Guys, you can't find such a large love if you are allowing the past faults of others to ruin your future prosperity. You will forever stay in the shallow ground where charm and exterior beauty is all you're going to find. You're missing that beautiful blessing that a great woman can provide you. A home, peace, affection, love, vulnerability, intimacy, the beginning of a family. As someone speaking from experience, the minute I decided to better myself and be worthy of a good woman, while also forgiving those who wronged me in the past, an angel was brought to my doorstep, and I now call her wife. God bless. Be strong. Let's get after it, boys.